Hi, everybody. Good
Hello.
to, good to see you all. Thank you for being here. I'm Janet Gollery McKithen. I'm a member of the steering committee of the Committee for Racial Justice. Welcome to being here tonight. I know that you could have been so many places in the rain tonight, but you decided instead to be here. You chose to be with us. We're blessed and we're honored that you did. We've been here at this for over 12 years now. We especially welcome those who are joining us for the first time, and we want to let you know that we didn't begin with some committee sitting down and planning to have a committee for racial justice, but it began with an incident on May 4th, 2011. An African-American member of the Santa Monica High School wrestling team was held against his will by two white teammates while there were chance slaves for sale and a noose hung nearby. This racially charged incident and the cover-up and the district's slow response were the catalysts for the formation of the Committee for Racial Justice. The committee consists of parents of students at Santa Monica High, students, community members, and religious leaders. Pre and post-COVID, we've held monthly workshops at Virginia Avenue Park, like we were going to tonight, but we changed that at the last minute due to the weather. That was 12 years ago. The Committee for Racial Justice has continued to focus on education and the school system, but we are very actively involved in a lot of other areas as well. With the courts, with the police, with the city, with faith communities, with food, with housing, etc., because systemic racism touches all aspects of life. Our mission statement reads, with the conviction that all human beings deserve to be treated with dignity and respect, we are committed to combating all forms of racial injustice, both overt and covert, individualized and systemic, that still take place in our community. While racism affects many cultural groups, we are especially drawn to focus on the severe impact it has on the African American community. Tonight's topic is back to what some of our very first workshops dealt with, and seeing what movement has been made in these last 12 years. Tonight is the second of a series of workshops that will focus on the theme of 1 year after the Santa Monica Black Apology. Let 2024 be the year of action. The January workshop focused on education. Tonight, we'll focus on taking our land back, reclaiming our past. Welcome to the Committee for Racial Justice. And I'll turn it over to Angela.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Angela Scott, and I'm also one of the steering committee members for the Committee for Racial Justice. I wanted to come before you today to give updates, so I will provide you some latest updates since our last meeting, and then I will hand off to Tara Barascas, who will also provide updates. Following our last meeting, if you recall, we did kick it off focused on the Black Apology, and since that time, we did go before City Council. The request of City Council Member Davis, Council Member Terosas, and Council Member Zwick regarding the Black Apology. And they agreed, the council holistically agreed to the following. Number one, to annually acknowledge and read the statement of the Black Apology at the beginning of the first City Council meeting every November. Number two, they agreed to allocate from their discretionary funds to the Santa Monica High School Black Student Union, as well as the African American Parent Student Staff Support Group, financial support for the seniors and all of the students aspiring to attend college in the form of application fees, scholarships, and other costs associated with the transition to college. Again, this is going to the Black Student Union, and it's under the guise of Black Student Achievement. Was how we're looking at it. In addition to that, there was a direction to the city manager to explore the installation of the statement outside of City Hall so that it can be read and be publicly accessible. And it was also agreed that that statement would be in multiple languages, so that when you're in the area of the city council in the front, you can see the Black Apology, but then it's also in multiple languages. In addition to that, there was direction to the city manager to survey the reparation efforts in other jurisdictions and then come back and direct the city attorney to identify any potential legal issues regarding how this looks within our jurisdiction. So those are my updates right now, and I will hand off to Tara Baraskis.
Hi, everyone. I'm Tara Barauskas. I'm the lead for the Housing Committee of the Committee for Racial Justice. So to give everyone an update, we've created a work plan for 2024 that includes some items that are follow-ups from the Black Apology, but we are specifically focused on housing injustice issues. So we have some specific policy and advocacy items we'll be working on this year. In addition, we have been working closely with the Landmarks Commission to try to come together around creation of a framework that better understands the different community perspectives with regard to historic preservation. So some of those items will be upcoming in the next couple months, so please stay tuned for that. And if you're interested in getting involved in supporting the work of the Housing Committee, I will put my name in the chat and you can feel free to email me to join our committee. Thank you.
Okay, I guess it's time to move along with our program. Janet and Angela? Yes? Okay. Well, first up, I would like to introduce our moderator for this evening. I just want to say thank you all for being here. And as Janet said, you could have been anywhere else, but you're here with us, and we really appreciate that, the support. So I'd like to introduce to you a special lady that all of these ladies that I have on here that I have met, some a while back and some most recently, I really admire and really am looking forward to doing more work with them. They're phenomenal. First up is April Banks, our moderator for tonight. She is an artist and creative strategist working across visual art, social engagement, and exhibition design. Her practice sits intentionally between image, space, and experience. Her work imagines absent and erased images, narratives, and places, creating speculative histories and futures. She challenges the archive and representation of the Black diaspora. I met April during COVID, in the beginning of COVID, and when we were got a call, I particularly got a call from the Cultural Affairs Department asking if I would sit on a panel to create a monument in the history for our Belmar Art and History Project. You can look that up online. I'm not going to take all the time to talk about it, but it's something that we are proud of because it was a community that was almost erased. And I'm just so grateful for April for her creativeness and thoughtfulness into this project and into our community. And she did a beautiful job. And I know she's going to probably tell you about it, I hope, with the high school students and the Ebony Beach Club, which she has their booklets made from the students' artwork on what the Ebony Beach Club would look like if in their what they would imagine it would look like if it existed today. So I'm very proud of that work, and I want to just introduce to you Miss April Banks.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you all for being here on this rainy Sunday evening. Yes, I'm very happy to moderate this necessary, important conversation about the white family, the injustices that were done to them, a history that was stolen, and as I was working on this project, there were so many stories, and there will continue to be stories. I feel like the Belmar History and Art Project was just the beginning. As people feel recognized and heard, more stories are happening and coming forward. People are feeling emboldened to tell their story, tell their family's legacy and what was taken from them. And as we were going through this process, what I was completely just blown away by the vision of Silas White for the Ebony Beach Club and the completeness of that vision. We had the privilege of, these documents that were drawings of what was intended, in a very impassioned letter for White was necessary. And for me, it was like the kind of the most complete picture of one of the businesses in the Belmar district. And for that reason, I felt like it was such a good thing to work with students around. We could have, discussions about the physical drawings, about the idea of imagination, why imagination is a kind of freedom when we are limited with our resources and by racial injustice. And and the kids were just, blown away by the idea of this club, that they didn't know about it, that they aren't learning about it in school. And so it continues to be one that has a lot of input, both around narrative, but also imagination. And so that's all I'll say about that. In the process, I met Connie White, and we have become friends, and I am happy that they are seeking restitution for the land that was stolen for the Ebony Beach Club. And so tonight we're here, and I have some questions to ask Milana and Kavan. And so let's get into it.
Okay. And, I need to introduce Kavan.
Oh, okay. All right. All right.
And before I do that, I just want to say, it was my pleasure to meet Connie through April. It was like, wow. I didn't remember her dad as much because I was a little girl, but I did remember when I got married, I didn't even realize one of his laundromats that he owned. He was quite a businessman. And one of his laundromats, I actually, that's where I started my family, watching their laundry at his laundromat. Would have loved to have been able to go to the Ebony Beach Club. I really would have. And so, through April, we went up north. I met Connie, and she and I just chopped it up as we knew all the same people, a lot of the same people. And she still sends me texts and tell me about people that she knows that I know. And then I had the honor of meeting the lovely Milana, family member. And I'm full about what we're gonna do about this property for this family. And as I listened to Milana talk about what she dreamed, and as she saw our Black History Month, that Ebony Beach Club could have been a part of that. So I'm I can't wait to hear what's going to happen here tonight, as well as continuing on. So next up, this young, blockbuster woman that I had an opportunity, who came on my radar when Bruce's Beach came about, and I'm sure she'll talk about that a little bit. And I went out to Bruce's Beach for the celebration on Juneteenth, when the beach club beach property was given back to the family. And I saw this young woman, Kavan Ward, actually took pictures with her and everything. I knew she was powerful. I knew she was, young, vibrant, and, that activist that I like. But I had no idea until I met her what all she brought to the table. And so I am just honored to be working with her, and just even be a part of being learning from her. I look forward to that as well. I just look forward to being part of this whole project. So I'll tell you a little bit about Kavan, and I'm sure it's just a little bit. Kavan Ward is an award-winning spoken word artist and activist. Within the past decade, Kavan has won first place at the historic Apollo Theater, and has shared the stage with gospel artists Hezekiah Walker, Patti LaBelle, Fantasia, and activists like Joe Madison and Dick Gregory to perform her piece, I Am Trayvon Martin. I can't wait to hear that. Kavan is the founder of Justice for Bruce's Beach and has led the historic and successful movement that made it possible for the stolen land to be returned to the descendants of the Black landowners, Willa and Charles Bruce. The descendants of the Bruces recently sold the reclaimed and land to LA County for $20 million. Kavan was named a 35th Senate District 2022 Woman of the Year by Senator Bradford, who I also met at that event. Kavan has since been quoted in the New York Times and LA Times, the Washington Post, the New Yorker, and a host of other articles. She has interviewed with NPR 94.7 The Wave and a number of other radio stations to discuss what justice for the Bruce family means and what reparations for Black Americans look like. Kavan has partnered with Patrisse Cullors, who we know here at CRJ, Patrisse Cullors of Black Lives Matter, to create a petition calling the restitution and restoration for the Bruce's family. Kavan is a reparative justice consultant and founder and CEO of Where Is My Land, an organization focused on getting Black land back nationally. She is a former Congressional Black Caucus Fellow and public policy lobbyist. Kavan holds a BA in communications and a master's of public administration. I got to introduce y'all to this wonderful beauty thing right here, Kavan.
Hi, everybody. Thank you for such an amazing introduction. I'm looking forward to getting into answering these questions and figuring out how we can all work together and build community around Connie White and her family and ensuring that they get their land back, at the very least, get their land back. So thank you for inviting me tonight.
Okay, well, Louise, you can take me off spotlight and let's let it go. Let's let it do what it do. Okay, April, you ready?
Yes, I'm ready. So should we start with you, Kavan, or with Milana? Do you have a preference?
I would prefer if we centered the family, and I'm not sure if you guys want to introduce Milana, but Milana is
You can
here on
you
behalf of
introduce
Connie.
Milana? Oh, okay. Hi, Milana.
Hi, Milana.
Yeah.
Hello.
Well, hi. Before, why don't you say something before I start asking you questions? Introduce us.
First of all, I just want to say thank you so much for inviting me here to represent Connie. She was unable to join today, so she has sent me some of her words, and I will do my best to convey all that she would have. And I just want to second that Kavan, Robbie, April are all the epitome of the phenomenal woman. And I am so blessed and so thankful to have their support in helping my cousin Connie, who is also amazing. Just quickly, Connie does not like for me to say this, but I do it constantly. She just celebrated her 90th birthday, and she is absolutely amazing. Robbie knows her memory is spot on. And she just functions at such a high level. I think she outdoes me sometimes in the technology department, but she is doing everything. And I just love her so much. And I'm just thankful that I can be a part of this process for her and help her in any way that I can. So thanks to everybody for that.
Wonderful. Yes, 90 is the new 70. Okay, so Milana, tell us about Silas White. Who was he? Describe how his land was stolen and the months leading up to this. Like set us up.
Okay, so First, I'm going to just say from my understanding of the situation, and then I'll go into what Connie has said. But for me, this whole process, I didn't know anything about the Ebony Beach Club. And it was only because of Kavon's advocacy with Justice for Bruce's Beach that I learned of it, which is why it is so very important that we are having these conversations and that these issues are being brought to light, because I know it goes beyond our family. I know there are families across the nation that have had these same issues that have been buried because they are very painful past issues that seem to have no form of redress. So they're not talked about, they're buried. I lived with my grandmother was Silas White's sister. So from that perspective, my grandmother never spoke of this issue. And I lived with Connie's mother, Elizabeth, for several years. She never spoke of this issue. And again, it was only when the Justice for Bruce's Beach issue was brought into the media that Connie said to me one day, you know, my father had property and land in Santa Monica, and they took that away from him unjustly under the guise of eminent domain, which started a whole conversation about this. And she mentioned Kavon, and she mentioned where's my land, and she said, maybe I should reach out to them. To which I said, yes, you should. And she did. And Kavon and Where Is My Land responded. And here we are. And I am learning more about this wonderful man and his vision every single day. I learn more information because it was so much hidden. It was so much covered up. So, I mean, even over the last couple of days, I've learned more information. But the way I see it is he was very entrepreneurial person. He had had several businesses, and he had had their home that they lived in built, plans drawn for it, and it was built. So I have no doubt that he would have brought this dream to realization. And I imagine it would have been phenomenal. And it breaks my heart and saddens me every time I talk about it, the fact that he didn't get to do that and it was taken away from him. So I will say, in Connie's words, her description of her father is he was a man of vision. He was smart, progressive, born before his time, a citizen of Santa Monica, a husband and a father, a believer in growth for the Black and Brown community, and he was always encouraging. So in her eyes, that's how her father was for her.
Thank you for sharing that. So Connie, Silas's daughter, has said that the Ebony Beach Club was born out of his experience with his family at the segregated beach, the Inkwell, which is now Bay Street Beach, or known by many people as Bay Street Beach. Can you describe the community that Silas White envisioned for the Ebony Beach Club?
What I know of it is that he came to this idea because he would often take Connie to the beach when she was a young girl, and there was never a space for them to safely change when they got out of the water, or just a space for them to be, and they would always have to immediately go home early. And he came to notice the Elks Lodge that had been abandoned for 13 years. The building sat there, and he thought it would be a wonderful place, and he came up with the vision. And I think he had talked about it for a number of years before he actually acted on it. And that's when he actually purchased the property, began the whole renovation process. He had members signed up. Nat King Cole was reported to be one of them. And he just had a vision of it as being this wonderful place where minorities who were not welcomed in other spaces could feel safe when they were visiting that particular area of the beach where they were allowed at that time. And I think in Connie's words, she said he always felt that Santa Monica could be a place, an inclusive city of diversity and justice for all, and act in actions and not just words. So that's how he felt, and that's what his goal was.
Yeah, his vision for the club was so complete. And like I said at the beginning, that's why I was so drawn to it, from, you know, a grand ballroom, a spa, a place for people, a card room, a barber shop, a beauty salon. Like this was going to be, I think, a kind of club that didn't even exist in all that it was offering. And so it it just it's just a tragedy. And you know, every time I look at that deck of the membership, because it was created to bring more members on, so it was literally like kind of a marketing package. And it's just the evidence. It's like we can't deny this is evidence and stream that was stolen. And so I'm glad that we can talk about it tonight in detail. So resistance has coursed through Black folks' blood since times of our enslavement. How did Silas White resist Santa Monica when they took his land? And what does Black resistance look like to you, and why is it so important?
Okay. In Connie's words, fighting the racism, he fought the racism through court, spreading the word throughout the community, putting signs on the property that had been fenced up. And he declared on the signs that the injustice of losing his dream. And he posted that on the front of the former building, the fence that was around it, for everyone to see. And he expressed the feelings of harm done to him and to all the people that would have benefited from the beach club. And for me, just to hear of the fight that he had, one of the first times that I met with someone, a reporter for Connie, because she was unable to come down here. They wanted me to go to the Viceroy Hotel. And it was the first time that I had been there. I'd never seen it. I'd never been there. This whole thing was new to me at that point. And when I went there, I walked to the corner and looked at the ocean. And I just tried to imagine how he felt the first time that he discovered that property and had that vision. When he's looking at the abandoned building that was there for 13 years, and he decided, this is what could happen. This is what could be. This could be a space that would be safe for, you know, all those that were unwanted in other places. And so I just imagine him coming up with the way that his brain must have worked, being the entrepreneur that he was, coming up with all these ideas of how he wanted this space to be and how he wanted people to be in that space and what it would provide. And then I thought about how he must have felt after fighting in court when they were trying to take the property from him. Again, it sat vacant for 13 years. He got the property in 1957. He bought it from the former Elks Lodge member, who was a white man. And then by 1958, he had fought them in court, and they had decided that, you know, voted against him and they would take the property from him. The man who sold him the property argued on his behalf, but obviously that was to no avail. So they take his property. And so I imagine him coming back to that same space and looking at the property that was now no longer his after he fought so hard to keep it. And then I imagine him coming back once they demolished it 2 years later, and what that must have felt like, you know, to literally see his dream crumble in front of his eyes, how that must have been. And it's just, it's unimaginable. It's heartbreaking. It's just sad beyond belief. And as Connie says, it just put him in a very, very bad space. We now all, post-COVID, know of the impact and importance of mental health. And this was a man in 1957 who, despite all the odds and challenges that were placed before him, was able to purchase this property. And he had it taken away. And he tried to fight an entire city to keep his property. And just to me, it's just, it would seem from the way Connie described his spirit after that happened, he went from being a gregarious, outgoing, creative person to a very introverted, I guess the word we would say now would be he was in depression. But it's just, it would seem that his spirit was shattered with the windows that must have been shattered as they demolished the building. And it just, I think it's just a huge loss. It could have been such a wonderful space.
Yeah, I just want to point out, if those of you on the call are not familiar with the site, it's at the corner of Pico and Ocean where the Viceroy Hotel sits. So that whole area from Pico to the ocean and then west several blocks, was the redlined area where primarily Black people lived during that time. And so that would have been the location to have access to the beach that was the Black beach, because beaches were segregated. So having the understanding of like the importance of that particular site, I think is really crucial to understand. So now you've been working with Where's My Land? What has this journey for restitution been like for you? How did you come to learn about your Uncle Silas's dream? And yeah, so just kind of talk about like what the restitution journey's been like.
I think I jumped the gun a little bit earlier, but I did learn about it because of Kavan and her work with Justice for Bruce's Beach. And that is when Connie opened up to me and discussed it. And as I said before, it was completely out of nowhere. I just had no idea. And it was astounding, honestly, to to hear. And the more I learn, the sadder it is, honestly. But again, that's how I heard about it, and that's why I'm grateful for this opportunity here tonight. And any time that I am blessed to be able to work with Kavan, Robbie, April, all of you who are bringing so much attention to this, and just feel that it's not just about the White family. As Kavan knows, there are hundreds and hundreds of families across the nation that are now reaching out to Where's My Land.
Can I just interject, please? Because I feel like Milana is being extremely humble and she's not talking about all of the work she's been putting in for the past year. Milana has had boots on the ground for over a year. Whenever we need her to do an interview, whenever we get the family an interview, she is there. So that's what the journey has been like. The journey right now has been about getting the story out there so that more and more people learn about it. It wasn't until the LA Times broke the story about Bruce's Beach that we really started getting attention. And when the county decided that they wanted to return the land because of the publicity. So we have gone on a year-long media campaign, and she's had a lot of great interviews, but it has not gotten to the point where everyone knows about this. And so I don't care what she's doing, what she's going through. Milana has stepped up and she has been there and she has attended every interview. So you have to give yourself some credit too. Yeah, we're amazing, but you're doing the work on behalf of the family.
Thank you, Kavan. Yeah.
Yes. Yes. And, restitution, I think there's so many layers, and maybe we'll get into this with Kavan, but restitution is not just about the legality or the activism, and there is an emotional impact. There's an effect on your family. The fact that these families don't even talk about these histories or memories because they're too painful, or there's nowhere to put it, or there's a sense of hopelessness. Like having all of that, come up, especially I sometimes think about Connie at the end of her life. What is it like for all of this to be coming up? Does this feel, and I know you can't answer, but does this, I wonder if this feels like, is there a sense of, I'm kind of losing the words for.
I think I know what you mean, April. And I feel like just based on my conversations with her, I feel like there's this sense of hope that's been reestablished that, or that was not there for a very, very long time. And the way she talks about everything, like her memory is really impeccable. And like she remembers things from like 40 years ago. And I can't even remember what I ate last week for breakfast last Tuesday. So I'm oftentimes impressed. I call her the human AI because she is on point. And I'm finding that the more traction her story gets, the more engaged people are becoming. She wants to talk about it more. So I think that she is reinvigorated, and there's just this sense of hope that has not been there for a long time and excitement around this. And I think she's really optimistic about what the results are going to be.
Yeah, and what a beautiful thing to have that hope at this point in your life it'll never be a resolution. There's nothing that will ever replace it, but just some form of recognition, somewhere to put that burden that you've been carrying.
Yeah, and recognition and some form of repair, right? Like,
Mm-hmm.
I don't think she's doing this just so people can recognize that it happened. When the Bruces fought for their land and when we fought for their land, it wasn't just to recognize that the city of Manhattan Beach was racist. It wasn't just to acknowledge and recognize it, which is what the city did. They refused to apologize. Sometimes you have to apologize and say we were wrong and we promise not to do it again. We promise that there will be no don't repeat the same thing, and we want to make it right in any way that we can by providing some form of restitution. For me, and I think that's where Connie is like, you can acknowledge all you want. You can apologize all you want. You can agree that you're not going to do it again. But what are you going to do to compensate myself and my family for decades of trauma? What are you going to do for my father's broken heart? Like, what are you going to do about the fact that that land alone is worth over $1.5 million and you're continuing to make money from it? What are you going to do about it? How is my family going to get repair for that? How are my grandkids and my great grandkids and my nieces and my nephews going to live off of that? I'm sorry, go ahead.
No need to apologize.
I would just like to say that due to Kavon's relentless advocacy, Santa Monica did agree to meet with us on January 24th. At least Councilwoman Caroline Tarosis and the city manager, David White, met with us. And I told them that was the first time in the 6.5 decades since they took his land that anyone from Santa Monica had acknowledged Connie directly in any direct form. And so, yeah, with that comes hope, but with that, she also wants to see action. Like Kavon said, there should be action. And they've put forth a lot of words about advocacy and equity. But we're just hoping that they're going to back that it's not just, as you guys say, an apology, a Black apology reiterated every year. There's words that they want to repair harm and they want to acknowledge and repair the harm that was done. So what does that mean? And that's what I asked at the meeting, the city manager. So, these are your words that you want to repair harm and acknowledge these issues. And so what does that mean to you? The response was, that's a good question. And I agree, it is a good question. So hopefully they will come up with a good answer to the question.
Just let me come in real quick, April. I just want to say the people with their hands raised, can you just wait until we finish with the interview, and then we will have, Angela and I will moderate the Q&A for the audience after the family speaks. Thank you.
Thanks, Robbie. So this next question is one that, I addressed with the students, and so I'll ask you now, where do you think the Ebony Beach Club would have been today if it had not been raised by Eminent Domain?
I think it just would have been phenomenal. From everything that I learned about my uncle and his tenacity, his ingenuity, his persistence, his abilities, his intelligence, I just think there would have been no stopping him, and it just would have been an amazing, amazing, amazing place. Connie is a pianist, so I'm sure she, and I said in the meeting, and one of the last council meeting for City of Santa Monica, the mayor declared the Black History theme, Black Media and the Arts, and they had a reading by a Black actress, and then they had a performance by a saxophonist and a performance by a tap dancer. And Mayor Brock said that it was wonderful to have music and dancing in City Hall, and hopefully there would be a lot more of it. To which my response would be, it could have been there the whole time. That is what the Ebony Beach Club would have been. Again, Nat King Cole was one of the first signatures. I'm sure there would have been lots of dancing, wonderful, amazing music. And I just really think Santa Monica missed out. I think it just was an amazing opportunity for Santa Monica to show itself to the state, the nation, the world, as a progressive city that was on the right side of history, that it just could have been wonderful, I think. I have 3 kids. All of them are classically trained pianists. It would have been so amazing, I think. And it's just sad that we will never know. But I think it would have been around and thriving and just have been absolutely phenomenal.
Yeah, that's one of the questions I've asked Connie, like, do you think you would have been playing in the grand ballroom? Like, and when I ask her, because, we talk a lot about the effect on her family, but I'm like, what about the impact on you? Would you even have left Los Angeles? Because she relocated to the Bay Area. Like, what would there's no way of knowing, what her life might have looked like if this hadn't happened, in the way that it rippled through her family. She talked about how it changed the whole dynamic of the immediate family. So those are the kinds of things that are like, the restitution goes far beyond not only an apology, but there are some things that I don't know. This is where I just like, it breaks my heart every time and all over again to just think about the irreparable harm that has no quantification. It is like breaking spirits and destroying hearts, and just like this sense that the reason why people came to California during the Great Migration, because they could own land, because they could imagine, like, and they did live on the beach. Like, this was prime and is prime beachfront property, but because of the way redlining happened, that was, designated D grade, and therefore it was the only place that people of color lived. And then they came, and then they made this beautiful, vibrant community with a church that's still there, if you know Phillips Chapel at 4th and Bay. There were other businesses. There was the La Bonita Social Club. There were beauty salons and shoe shine. This was a thriving community. And so this would have been like the cherry on top. This, like what he was imagining, it was going to be the biggest and most elaborate of all of those businesses. And so
I imagine it being something like the Harlem Renaissance and the Cotton Club. That's what I was envisioning when I thought about it.
exactly, exactly. Or I think even someone put in the comments like Central Avenue in downtown Los Angeles, just that the way that businesses like that start to attract other businesses, and then you have a whole cultural corridor and all of those things. You know, we're talking about one property, but the impact it just reverberates and reverberates. And one thing that someone has talked about when a community is dispersed by eminent domain, it's not just the property value that's lost. The whole community is shattered. Those people who were your neighbors, who you went to after school, who you learned a recipe from, who you played in the backyard with, network. And you know, these are all the kinds of damages that are done. This is not just about property. And so how are we going to address that? How is that going to be repaired, you know, for the White family? Okay. I think we should move on to the next question. Do you have anything you would want to add, Milana, about, you know, sort of what do you and your family want to see in the form of repair? What would that look like?
Yeah, I'm I can't don't want to speak for Connie. I'm not sure what that means for her. But what I do feel is that she needs to be offered solutions, whatever they may be. Again, like you said, nothing is going to repair what, you know, what happened to her family, how their family was torn apart because of the impact that this had on her father. And I still say in the community as a whole. So I have no idea what that looks like for her, but real conversations need to be had regarding it. Real intentional conversations, and not just platitudes and, you know, perfunctory offerings of acknowledgement. Yeah, I don't know. It's like you said, it's how do you even, you know, quantify what that would be? Because it destroyed that man completely, and he was such a wonderful human being. He had a wonderful heart and spirit and intentions. His intentions were pure. You know, he wanted to do good for the community. That was not accepted in other spaces. And it's just a loss all around. It was a loss for him personally. It was a loss for his family. It was a loss for the community. It was a loss for Santa Monica as a whole, I feel. I mean, it would have been it just would have been a great space, I feel. Yeah.
Kavan, did you want to say something? It looks like you were leaning forward to speak.
No, I would just say that we don't want to really talk about what repair looks like outside of right now the land being reclaimed for a variety of reasons. Of course.
Okay.
And can I just say one more thing on that note, that the timeline of it, the fact that the land sat vacant for 13 years. And then he purchased the land in 57. By 58, they had reclaimed the land. By 60, they had demolished, razed the property. and then it sat. You know, he died in 62. He became ill, and he just seemed like he just lost his fight. You know, he tried to fight the city, it didn't work, and I think it just took something out of him, and he just didn't have any more fight. So he died in 62. The property then in 66 was decided to be a perfect place for a first-class hotel, quote, first-class hotel, because of its proximity to the ocean and the downtown and the pier. For all those reasons that he wanted the property, for all those reasons that he purchased the property to begin with, they took it for a parking lot in 1958, and by 1966 decided that it was a great place for a first-class hotel. So, and that's what it is to this day. So I think that speaks volumes about their intent. And I think that actions should be made in that regard.
Okay, thank you, Milana. We're gonna hear some responses to questions from Kavan. How's everyone doing? Do we feel like we need a little break, or should we just keep going? How are we doing on time, Robbie? Keep going? Okay, keep going. All right. Okay, so maybe before I start asking you questions, Kavan, you could talk about where's my land and help us understand, what you're doing.
Yeah, no problem. So where's my land? I started it in 2021, shortly after Governor Newsom signed the bill that would allow for the land to be transferred back to the Bruce family. When that made headlines, a number of people, I think about 200 emails from people across the country asking if I could help them get their land back. And I was blown away because I had never envisioned or fathomed that I would be doing any work around land reclamation. I didn't even know much about land grab policies or anything like that. I just knew when I started with the Bruces, like they took this Black couple's land in a community that I had lived in, and I knew nothing about it. And I was so upset and angry about what happened to the murder of George Floyd, that I'm just like, well, it should just be simple. If our kids take something, we tell them, like, if you take something, you give it back, you return it. And so for me, I didn't understand why, it was just okay that the government had taken land and not returned it. And so I went into it very much just like, you took it, return it. You took it, give it back. That's it. And so my focus was just on getting the Bruces their land back. And when I got all those messages, I was like, there's no way I can just ignore them. I now have this platform. I feel like I'm called to continue the work. And so I started Where's My Land, and it was for the sole purpose of focusing on Black families across the nation that had their land stolen. And so we are about 2 years in now. A large part of our work was just trying to get organized, structured. I don't have any background in starting organizations. I had to learn about the difference between an S corp and a nonprofit, and the structuring everything, because I had this vision. I knew what I wanted to see happen at the end, but the road to get there, I had no idea. And then, of course, there's roadblocks in the midst of it. And there's still, just me being an empath, feeling horrible after reading these stories and hearing from these families, and just feeling like I don't even want to do this work. I don't even know if I can do this work. It's so much. There's so much harm done. Like, there's no way I can do it. This pressure, this weight on my shoulders, and not having enough funding to hire the amount of people that I would need to do it. So having to navigate through all of that, and still doing so, but still being in a better place, because we've been getting the word out and people know more about it. And there's now organizations that are more radical donating to this type of work, and then not wanting to charge families an absurd amount of money for for help, because they had already been harmed, and most of them don't even have money to pay their rent, right? And so just struggling with how how am I going to help these people and still be able to keep a roof over my head and still be able to pay a team what they're worth, especially Black people, because Black people were never really paid what they're worth. And I would never want to start an organization where I'm doing that same harm. So there's all these things I've had to navigate through, and then managing the expectations of a lot of these families, because they saw you did it. They're like, oh, you did it with that, and it happened so fast. So of course, like, what's going on here? But them not understanding that we got close to 1,000 applications, or people claiming that their land was taken, and wanting us to help. Like, the overwhelmingness of that all, and then not understanding that, yeah, I'm a Black woman, and people automatically see us as superhuman sometimes, but I am a Black woman who is a single mother, who has the responsibility of a child. I am a Black woman who needs to make sure that I'm taking care of myself, because if I'm not good, I can't be good for anybody else. I am a Black woman who is still dealing with racism today. I'm a Black woman who is targeted because I'm trying to fight for repair for other Black people. There's so many different things that I have to deal with in the midst of this fight. And still, I am expected to show up and show out and make the impossible happen in a short amount of time. So, I mean, I know that was a lot, but I don't even remember what the question was, but that is how it all got started. And now I'm finally in a place, and there are certain cases where, my team is just like, well, you have an advocacy and policy person now, let them handle it. But there are certain cases where I'm just like, I feel moved to work on it on my own, because I get the same feeling I got when I work for the Bruces. I get these downloads in the mornings, and I can't stop thinking about it, and I eat and I sleep, and everything, it's just totally consumes me. And this was one of those cases. I'm like, this is one of those cases. I think repair will happen, and I have to go into my zone and really focus. And I'm just happy that the family trusts me with their case.
Amazing. Yeah, we need the fire, we need the fight, but it's very
And
true.
if I can say, Where Is My Land has been so amazing in supporting the family, not only supporting us, but guiding us, because we don't know anything about the process here. They help us, tell us, where to show up, kind of how to show up. And I just feel that they're so undervalued. They deserve so much for all that they're trying to do for, like you said, so many people. So many people. It is, beyond my family. It's, the Russell City issue in California. We have the Power family in San Bernardino Mountains, who are currently going through issues as we speak. It's not a past tense thing. They are actively going through issues right now. You have the people in the Moors and Richmond. I mean, it's just Richmond City. It's just, there's so much. And they're all heartbreaking and unbelievable that these things happened to these people, and the resilience of the families. But it's so much. And again, Kavan, I appreciate you immensely, because all that pressure, I know, but every time you do show up, you give your 100+%. And we're really thankful for you. We really appreciate you.
Pamela, stop. You're gonna start crying.
No, we need to give each other our flowers for, for this hard work. It is, like you said, the balance that you have your own life that you have to balance, but then there's just a pull for some cases and some instances. So, yes, thank you for your fight and for this case in particular, which is dear to my heart. There, I'm sure there are people here who have personally experienced something similar to Ebony Beach Club, a theft, or someone, someone that does, whether you personally experience it or not. So can you speak to how Santa Monica systematically targeted communities of color, and what do you feel were the motivations behind this?
I mean, without a doubt, believe it was racially motivated, right? I think, they would get in less trouble if they took land from Black people, because people didn't value Black people, and I think when we think about just the harm eminent domain causes, and it's supposed to be something where you could take land if it's needed for public use, but we are seeing over and over and over again that land taken from Black people is not used for public use. They sit on it. They take it under the guise of needing a park, or even though there's a park down the street, or under the guise of needing a parking lot, and they sit on it and do nothing with it, and then they sell it or they lease it out to multi-million-dollar companies, and it's a slap in the face. It's like, this man worked so hard to be able to purchase this land. He had a vision. His vision and his dream died with him. You know, his legacy, like, you know, and it's okay. And the reason why they keep doing it is because it's been okay for them to keep doing it, and it's time for it to stop. It is time for this to stop. And it's not going to stop until people start seeing that, you know, true reparations are in place for these types of harms. Because you're killing off not just the dream of the individual who had it and who was stripped away from, but you're killing off the dreams of generations to come. There's no generational wealth passed down. There's no, okay, I'm going to leave this legacy for you so that you can start your own or business or organization, or you have the free will to not work for anyone else and be able to still provide for your family and your family's families. That's stripped away, you know, and I'm so tired of everyone telling us, you know, that we don't have anything because we don't work hard enough, or because we're not pulling ourselves up by our bootstraps. We've seen over and over and over again, especially up and down this coast, Black people pulling themselves up by their bootstraps, paying more for land than their white counterparts, only to have it taken, and white people still get to hold on to their stuff. We don't have anything, not because we didn't work for it. We don't have anything is because we worked for it and it was stolen from us, and it keeps being stolen from us. And so not only do we have to repair the harm of the theft, we also have to say, okay, if this happens again, we're holding you accountable. Because it's just so convenient that eminent domain doesn't really affect white people. And you want to know what the sad thing is? When white people do lose land in eminent domains, for example, with Bruce's Beach, the city of Manhattan Beach wants to talk about all the time about, well, white people lost land too. But white people who own land on what is now Bruce's Beach Park didn't lose community because they didn't live on that land. Those Black families lived on that land. They built community. And so, and that they also don't want to talk about is how the land they lost or that was taken through eminent domain, white people were paid more for it than the Black people. So let's stop. We can't get repaired if you're not even willing to tell the truth about the harm that was caused in the past. And I mean the whole truth. Nothing but the truth. And then we can't say that true repair is happening if people can just go and do it again without being held accountable. And so we need people in Santa Monica to rise all the way up. And I'm not talking about just sharing and liking comments and videos. I'm talking about holding people accountable. Sending emails and letters to your council members demanding that they put the issue of returning this land back to the white family on the agenda for the meeting February 13th. I'm talking about showing up and giving public comments. I'm talking about keeping the pressure on them. Because we're not going to stop. And then if they don't do something about it, then they're going to just look just as racist as the city of Manhattan Beach, who's still trying to recover from all the bad media press that they've gotten. The city of Santa Monica needs to be on the right side of history. And we need to force them to do that.
So one of the things you state is that the harmed party should determine what the repair is. Why do you think that is?
Because think about it. I mean, the city of Santa Monica, you know, they had this whole program where they patted themselves on the back. Well, we're going to have affordable housing for Black people. And for me, who decided that? Did Black people decide that? No, because what is affordable housing? And then the land that was taken from these Black people, it wasn't land that they were renting, it's land that they own. So how are you going to give back? How are you going to give them an opportunity to live in a building and still pay you rent after you stole their land? So that's where they went wrong. They thought that they could figure out how to solve the problem and just disregard what the people who were harmed thought. Because if the people who were harmed had an opportunity to say what they wanted, they would say, we want land and we want to own it and we don't want to pay taxes on that land. They think they can just pacify us with some bull crap? No. So you steal land and you steal millions and millions of dollars that we could have passed down from generation to generation, and you think that you can make it right by giving us affordable housing when we still have to pay you money? No.
Yeah, I don't know if I should mention the Civic Auditorium at this point, but that's one of those. I'm gonna leave. That is one of those spaces where, you know, we're in this place again of like displacement happened. That is an opportunity for community.
You're frozen, April.
We would like to do to repair the harm in that Civic building where this happened. But we won't get into that because we're focused on the Ebony Beach Club tonight. But so
Yeah, I think
another
we should
question.
have another discussion around that though.
Yeah. So another question for you, Kavan, is in a recent sermon, scholar Mark Lamont Hill said that history is not advanced by singular people. There are many motivations behind why folks shy away from activism, and fear can greatly sometimes contribute. Economic repercussions, fear of alienation, just to name a few. What is your advice to someone who's afraid to get involved?
Oh, that's a hard one because, I mean, it's about positionality. I can understand why people are afraid, but I had a different upbringing where all the fear that I've had from, you know, family members who have harmed me, it toughened me up for this. Like I've been preparing for this work since I was a little kid. So for me, I enter this stuff fearlessly. You know, I enter it because it's just like I've come up against so many odds and I've experienced so much where I should have been dead and I'm still here, you know? And so for me, my faith in God and my understanding that I am here on assignment takes the fear away. And so I would just urge folks to dig deep within themselves and understand themselves and their relationship with whatever higher power they have, and really allow that source to guide them and to guide their steps. Because for me, I will never forget with Bruce's Beach, I woke up every morning at a certain time and got my downloads from source. That is what I followed. Like that is what ordered my steps. I had no idea what I was doing. I was just like, okay, well, speak to me. And I allowed myself to be open enough to be able to receive whatever it is that source is giving me to be able to make it happen. And so that worked for me. And so now I operate the same way. So fear has no space there, you know, but I can understand. I also have to think about, you know, the positionality. You know, I sat and when I started that fight, I didn't have a job that I was afraid to lose. I had my own small business, you know, I didn't have, I have a child. I could have, you know, so much could have happened and in fact, my life was threatened, you know, on more than one occasion. And there was fear. There was a little fear, but my faith was stronger than the fear. You know, my understanding of my assignment was stronger than the fear. So it did nothing for me. And I still stand fearless. I know that, you know, I put myself in harm's way every day doing this work, but I also know I'm protected and covered by the Most High. So.
If I may,
Absolutely.
I was speaking prior to the start of this with Janet and Robbie, and I was saying to them, an aside, if you have not yet seen the movie Origin by Ava DuVernay, please do. You will completely understand. If you really want to understand this issue, you will completely understand if you watch that movie with an open mind and receive what's being told to you. But in that vein, Isabel Wilkerson in her book Cast one of the first things that she talks about is the lone man in the picture of the people in Germany saluting Hitler. And there's that one lone person that refused to do so. And she said that all of us like to believe that we would be that person who would not salute, who would stand strong and not salute. But in reality, most of us are not. And it's just the following the pack, but it just takes that strong person to know right and wrong and to within in themselves follow that path, the right path. So yeah, the fear is going to be there, but justice is justice, truth is truth.
Yeah, I think also the thing that comes up is like, you know, what can I do? Like people sometimes don't know what to do. So maybe that's something you can answer, Kavan. Like, what are some concrete things that are needed in this case? I know there's a petition, but what are some other things? And let's point people to how they can support this case.
Right, definitely by signing the petition on change.org. But again, you know, showing up, sending letters to your council members and letting them know that you want this issue of repair for the white family on the next meeting agenda, which is February 13th. We want to have a vote on this. Like, we want people to show up and demand that they do right. If they call themselves wanting to believe in equity and inclusion and wanting to repair harm and believing in reparation, Councilwoman Terosis can't do it alone, right? So it is demanding that this be put on the agenda and then showing up during that meeting, whether it be virtual or in person, and giving public comments for the return of this land. The city of Santa Monica owns the land. They can return it to the white family. And the details have to be worked out, of course, because the Vice Royal Hotel sits on it, but it's not something that is impossible to work out. So I think right now in this phase, it's putting pressure on the council to vote yes on returning the land to the white family. And I mean, we don't want any other performative stuff. That's what we want right now. We want that land back.
So maybe at some point we can drop the link to the petition in the chat, and then I didn't catch the date for the next council meeting, but if maybe we can share that as well. So there's
February
no
13th.
February 13th. Okay. Okay. So, you know, Black folks are often get told that we're lazy, make poor choices, and the racial wealth gap is a consequence of that. How far behind are Black Americans, and what role did land theft play in our current reality?
Repeat that question one more time, please.
Black folks are often told that we're lazy,
Mm-hmm.
that we make poor choices, and the racial gap is a consequence of that.
Mm-hmm.
How far behind are Black Americans, and what role did land theft play in our current reality?
I think I just spoke to that too. It's like in the beginning of the 20th century, there were about 15 million acres of land owned by Black people. By the beginning of the 21st century, 90% of that was gone. So I think the fact that land theft occurred and prevented folks from being able to pass down land for their kids and their kids' kids to do whatever they chose to do with it, to make money from it, to farm it, to do whatever they chose to do with it, that impacted us. And let's not forget about the number of unhoused Black people there are, right? Not because they don't work or because they're lazy. It's because despite them working 40 hours a week, they still can't afford to pay the rent. And the people that they would have to pay the rent to are the folks who own the land and who can keep going up on the rent.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, wages for Black people are not going up. When we think about the Black Wall Streets, and we think about the Seneca Villages, and we think about Rosewood, we think about all these thriving Black communities of people who pulled themselves up by their bootstraps, created their own economic systems, and purchased from one another, and they had their own communities. Every time it happened, they were bombed, their land was taken, and they were never able to recover from that. And then we think about everything that was stacked on top of that. We think about the failed Reconstruction era. We think about Jim Crow. We think about convict leasing, the prison industrial club. We think about everything that just keeps getting piled on, piled on, piled on. So you haven't even harmed from the first thing that happened when your families were bombed out of their communities. How are you supposed to heal from that and heal from everything else that's stacked up on top of you? No one, regardless of any race, would be able to recover from that in the way they're expecting for us to do it. And the fact that they expect for us to recover from that is crazy to me, because you just said we lazy and we don't know what we're doing and we're not smart, we're not intelligent. So which one is it? For some folks that are lazy and uneducated, you sure do expect a lot from us, huh? Meanwhile, you're getting rich off of us, and you have no idea what overcoming that type of trauma entails, because you haven't had to deal with it. I mean, I can go on and on about it. I'll let you speak, Alana.
I just wanted to add that our school district where I live is tied to Inglewood. Okay. So I homeschooled for a number of years until we were eventually fortunate enough to get our children into the El Segundo School District. So my oldest son was in economics class one year, and the teacher asked for a show of hands for everyone in the class that was either getting money or benefit from a family business or had inherited some form of generational wealth or business or something like that. Everyone in that classroom, save two people, my son and another minority, raised their hands. And it honestly wasn't until that point that I even realized the impact that that loss had, because my family doesn't have that. We could have had that, but we don't have that. And most of the people in my neighborhood did not have that access to generational wealth or family businesses that were passed down. So again, it's just eye-opening. And when you think of the Tulsa, Oklahomas, and the other communities, the Russell cities, like Kavan spoke to, that had their own system going, that were destroyed. So it happens over and over and over and over. And no one wants to consider that in the equation. But it has to be. It has to be factored in. It is absolutely one of the reasons that there is such a gap in access to generational wealth in our community.
Yeah, that it's systematic and it's not a individual, you know, whether an individual has the, you know, access to a job in their generation, like the safety nets that other families have, you know, allow for entrepreneurship or even failure, the idea of the safety to fail. I'm going to stop there because I'm getting the signal that we need to move into answering some questions. So thank you both, Milana and Kavan, and I'm sure we'll continue as we answer these questions.
Thank you, April.
Thank you.
Wow. You ladies man, the story just is always, ever since I heard it, is near and dear to my heart. But just to bring it all together, just, it does something. It does a lot, not just something. It does a whole bunch of things. Those who know me can only imagine. So we're gonna move into some Q&A online, and then I also understand that Councilwoman Terosis is on, and maybe she might want to say a few words before we move into the Q&A. Um, um, I just want to say that in regards to allyship, CRJ is strong on, ally. They are allies. And when the pastor at Calvary Baptist Church, which Councilwoman Terosis and I attended, and she was so kind to come and introduce and, just hang around with the people, just be there. And, it's just make them feel comfortable, and they made her feel comfortable. But the pastor had a message that said, it's the condition of the heart that makes people move. It's not the party you belong to. It's not, we're in election year. He was like, it's not even about all that. It's about what is in your heart that makes you make the decision to make the moves to do what you need to do, which is, and I'll just take this from Lamont Ewell, our first Black city manager, that said, do the right thing right. So I'll leave it at that. And Caroline, are you on? Would you like to say a few words?
Yeah, I'm here. I hope hopefully everyone can hear me.
Mhm.
And sorry for being a little late. I was hosting my family for dinner tonight. But just thanks for having me. Thank you, Kavan, for all the work that you're doing. Thank you to all of the allies for being here. I would just say that from before I ran for city council, I knew about the story of the White family, and I was very clear that we needed to return the land in whatever way that looked for them and for the family. I will say that it's been, if I'm going to be candid, I mean, I know this is being recorded. I feel like I've faced an uphill battle at every step of the way. I do want to be realistic that like the city is in a very big financial deficit right now. And we have a lot of obligations of money that we need to pay back, et cetera. But I think that it's never convenient to do the right thing. And to me, this is absolutely the right and moral and just thing to do. We talk about our responsibility in the Black apology to repair past harm and to effectuate the next steps of the Black apology. And we're not doing our job, quite frankly, if we're not returning the land that was stolen. And I don't understand how that's hard for everyone to see. I would also say that I think everyone knows we have a pretty difficult council dynamic right now. You have a lot of fixed pie thinking, unfortunately. I think a lot of us obviously have read The Sum of Us, and we know that it's really important to build coalition, and that when everyone is well, we all thrive and succeed. And unfortunately, I think we have some folks on council who don't necessarily see it that way, who will say, well, if this group is getting something, what about me, and et cetera. And quite frankly, this country was founded on the backs of our Black community, who are brought here by no choice of their own. Our government has perpetuated legal racism. And this is a pretty clear, I mean, obviously Mike Soloff is here, is going to tell me that there are legal steps that we have to follow in order to effectuate this. I think most of you know I work for Supervisor Mitchell in my day job. I'm very, very familiar with Bruce's Beach and all of the different, outside counsel that we had to hire to bring about the return of the land to the Bruce family. Very familiar with all the state legislation and work we did with our treasurer tax collector on property taxes as well. But I think this is all, there's a way to figure this out, period. And the city is making money off of the Viceroy Hotel, period. The city still owns the land, period. And I would say that I'm the only person, I'm not trying to make it about me. It's really not, but I've asked to put specific language around exploring the return of the Ebony Beach Club land to the White family in several different 16 items. which for those of you who don't know, those are basically like pieces of legislation that the council brings forward. And I've asked to put that language in, and I've gotten no support, no support. And I can't do it by myself because I'm fine to fail, but you know, it would be great if there were a couple people with me. You know, we have to count, ultimately, if we're going to do this, we have to count to 4 out of 7. And I don't know that I feel we have any partners. I think that if we bring this into the consciousness of folks who are less familiar, hopefully they'll see that this is the right thing to do. But I would love all of your support on this journey. And I think we have to build a coalition. It's not just going to be about the people on this Zoom. It absolutely has to be about all of the different progressive groups in town. And I think we have an election coming up in 2024. This has to be a litmus test, in my opinion. I'm speaking on my behalf, Carolyn. And so I encourage all of us to keep the pressure on. Just really appreciate this space for conversation and would love to be a partner with all of you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, let's go to some questions online. Thank you for that, Carolyn. I've been hanging with you all day. Let's go with Nat. Am I right, Angela? You wanna?
Yeah, let's go with Nat first, and then
Okay.
there was a Mr. Dudley.
Okay.
First of all, Robbie and crew, thank you. Thanks for coming to coming to our meeting this morning at church. I appreciate that. I just want to say this to Alanya. I knew Cy personally. I knew Connie personally. I knew when they built their home at 20th and Broadway. 20th and, oh my God, right by Virginia Avenue Park. What's that? Yeah, Virginia, 20th and Virginia. Beautiful home. Kavan, your work has been incredible, and I'm just going to make a suggestion rather than ask a question, if that's okay. I was mayor in 1975 in the city of Santa Monica, and I was the first Black police officer to write a white person a ticket in Santa Monica, even though they had 3 Black officers before me. I'm just trying to tell you that what you're talking about is a critical issue about this just segregation thinking, mentality, racist work. They had the Blacks on the police department to police the Black neighborhoods, 19th and Olympic, the bars and all of that stuff. I saw it with my own eyes. But I kept fighting, and what you're doing, what Robbie's doing, and what April's doing, and Milana and Kavan, you're fighting. And we need that fight, and you have a precedent. Kavan's got the precedent. And what I would love to see Melania do is contact or have somebody on this screen who knows these people. Somebody go back to the date of purchase, do a financial evaluation of potential value of 2024 for that property, come in from a business standpoint, and let's go to work on them. I'm an octogenarian, and Connie and I can fight over who's older than one, but I'm an octogenarian, and I know many of the faces on the screen, and what the council member said was absolutely correct. You can't do it without a team, but I think we can avoid that if we go through the court system. You've got precedent. Precedent is important in the legal world. And I don't know how many lawyers are on the screen, but precedent can get around the city council. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Nat.
Thank you so much.
Craig? Oh, I'm sorry, it was Mr. Dudley first. Mr. Dudley?
He might have gone. He is in Florida, so there's a time difference. So I think he.
Oh, okay. Okay. I tell him I'm sorry. I wish he
Okay.
could He could have given the question to you, but okay, that's Milana's father. Okay, Craig?
Michelle wrote a question in the chat, but I don't know, perhaps she wants to verbalize it aloud. Michelle?
Oh, thank you. I don't want to take time, but of course, those people who are on the phone can't see the chat. But basically, what I suggested is that the present owners of the Viceroy Hotel are paying not only rent, but also substantial percentages of their profits to the city each and every year. And as a beginning toe in the water, certainly the Viceroy Hotel has nothing to lose if we could get them to be allies with us in making sure that that money goes directly to the family instead of to the city right now. Of course, advocating for the return of the land is top priority. And if Councilwoman Terosas can't get at least 2 or 3 other people to put this on the agenda, we need to direct our ire towards the rest of the council. Obviously, Councilwoman Terosas is already on board. Thank you.
Thank you.
Caroline has in Councilwoman Terosas has in
You
the
can, everyone can call me Carolyn.
okay, Carolyn. Go ahead.
I just to be clear, Michelle, I'm gonna fact check what you've just stated because I did ask the city manager and they're paying a flat fee to the city. That's it. We're not getting a percentage of revenue. That's what I've been told.
Okay, Angela, who's next?
I see David has his hand raised. David?
Hi, I was wondering if, so the California Black Legislative Caucus this week announced a slate of bills that they're calling reparations bills, and one of them is coming out of Senator Bradford's office about property taking, and it said, from what I've read, it doesn't have a bill number yet, but from what I've read, it said that it would require the restitution or compensation for land that was taken through eminent domain based on race. And I don't know anyone from Senator Bradford's office, but I'm wondering, Kavon, if you happen to know if that bill would apply here or if it's just state land.
We fought for that all across because we have a bunch of cases across the state that we're working with. So that was one of our proposals. So yeah.
Amazing.
We're on it.
Okay. We love
Thank
to see
you.
it.
Nice to meet you, David.
Nice to meet you too.
And I actually had a question, and this is for Milana. This is the elephant in the room question. With respect to, what Mr. Silas experienced, was there ever mention, and I'm sure, but I just want to, verbalize it, any racist threats? Back then you had the Santa Monica Bay Preservation League and all of that. So I'm wondering if there was also pressure from that, which again is why he, turned inward.
Yes, Connie could definitely speak to that better than I could, but I do believe, yes, he most definitely received many threats. I can only imagine, obviously they saw him as a threat to, their community or the city. And yes, from what I have heard, he most definitely experienced that.
If you zoom in on the photo of the Ebony Beach Club, the sign that he plastered across the fence said that this was, racially motivated and discriminatory, and this was not, just eminent domain. So he was definitely responding to the city, I'm assuming probably even more people because, even though the city is an institution, there are still people from the community who make those decisions. So.
And wasn't it the Santa Monica Bay Protective League that was really kind of pushing this, or under the auspices of Santa Monica Bay Protective League, aka KKK? I'm just saying. They did their thing on probably a lot of things. that could have happened. Yeah. Every time I hear this story, I get upset. Someone put in the chat about Central Avenue. This was gonna be this man was back when I was born. Y'all know how old I am. Back I wasn't back when I was born, this man had a vision for something larger than Central Avenue. He was gonna have all the greats. I'm looking at the Grammys on the side eye. Sorry, guys. And all those artists would have been at the Ebony Beach Club. It would have been the after party or whatever it would have been. It just was been a very those who've been to the Viceroy, okay, the Viceroy Hotel is nice, but this man had this vision long before that, of something larger than all of that. Santa Monica's always, they want to do, for the civic, they want to do some type of entertainment center. That was it. That was it. They let that opportunity go. That was the center. And I can just even imagine the food, opening a cafe. He might even been part partner with me. But, I can't believe we're having this conversation, but we are. And I think Santa Monica just needs to do the right thing, right? I just know that what Caroline is saying, that we need, that coalition. We're not stopping. Kavan, we're not stopping. Connie, I don't know if she's online, or you go back and tell her, Milana, we got her. This has to, she's 90 years old. Just to see your father going through that and what it did to destroy your family, not to mention the community and the folks that knew him, probably saw some of that happening, but didn't really know a lot. And considering your family didn't really talk about it, I know there's many things, racist things that happened in my family that no one talked about. I didn't find out till I started doing Black Santa Monica tours. And then I started finding out and connecting the pieces and the dots and the puzzle, and like, oh, that's what happened. And that's why my grandmother didn't talk about that, and her friends didn't talk, but they whispered and talked about other stuff. Yeah, that it needs to change. Somebody needs to get some courage on the council. Thank you so much, Councilwoman Terosis, because I know you stepped wide and far out of the lane that any council person. I understand Sue Himmerich is on here. Thank you for starting the conversation by signing the Black apology. But this is the year that CRJ has declared 2024 is the year of action. Year of action. Let's get it.
Can I say really quickly? I just wanted to say, obviously, I never had the good fortune of meeting my uncle. But Connie, from everything I've heard about him, Connie is the embodiment of all that he was. The intelligence, the creativity, the tenacity. She speaks, I think, 5 languages. She was still teaching Zoom classes, teaching Spanish over Zoom. She just turned 90 years old, and she's just as sharp. So when I look at her, I can only imagine, that she is her father, in her father's image. She's just absolutely amazing. And it's just a loss to never have been able to witness this man's vision become reality, and to lose him so early. Again, I feel that the heartbreak he experienced played a great part in that, because he was such an outgoing, he's just full of ideas and full of energy, full of enthusiasm. But Connie is, she's amazing in that at 90 years old, she's, like I said, she's still on her iPad, and she's still on the iPhone, and she's, Zooming and texting and all those things.
Driving.
Driving.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
She
And
is. She
teaching.
drove
Not
April and I.
teaching.
texting while driving, no, not texting while driving.
No.
She drove us. She drove us,
She
April,
drove
right?
us, yes. There's some
Anyway,
hands
we have
up.
3 more questions, guys. Angela,
I see hands up and there's questions in the chat, so.
Yeah, I think, well, Craig is here now, so let's go back to Craig and then Joanne and then Lauren. We'll probably round it up.
You know, Kavan, you've awakened in me the warrior spirit. And I really, after hearing, the need as to how the society looks at all of us, where's the fight? Because for me, the Black apology that was issued and then the lack of inertia to see to it that it's occurred is a slap in the face, because they feel that an apology was enough, but in listening to the story, it's not enough. And I'm wondering the feasibility that, at least one council member says, since they don't want to really take seriously the issue of regranting, that land, is a lawsuit, appropriate? If so, what form does that take? Because I personally went through and was dismissed from my job, and because of my action, my employment with Santa Monica College wasn't due to a decision of the board, it was due to a court order. And so that's the way I'm thinking, we need to think. And, I can understand also that when we talk about reparations, it's always not about money. It's about repair. Having said that, the idea that them doing things for us and not doing things for others, well, others weren't as effective, as we were in that respect. So I'm really on the wild to more or less look at, one, how they treat us in reference to this, and then how they treat others post-op for this. Because if indeed we allow them to continue to ignore us, then yeah, they will continue to ignore others, with us as the first step. So I guess I'm asking specifically for comments as to what does the phase look like for strategy in terms of class action suits within this thing. If you could respond to that, I'd be grateful.
We don't think it would be wise to discuss what our strategy is here on this platform.
Oh no, I'm not saying that. I'm definitely down for another meeting. But I'm just throwing it out there as a means to which we can open this up.
Yeah, and I just also want to add that it is okay for Black people to center Black people without fighting for other people in the process, because it is never asked for other groups to fight for Black people when they're fighting for their own people. Okay? We were harmed in this way, and we're going to fight for our people to get repair in this way. Point blank, period.
That's it. Okay, so next, Angela.
Next we have Joanne and then Lauren. I just wanted to say really quick, again, Kavan, I love how you emphasize that this changed communities, right? Because Mr. Silas was one of the visionaries for the community. So not only was he and his property and everything disrupted, but the force, the being, the livelihood of the community was disrupted as well. All right, Joanne?
I just want to make people aware, if they haven't noticed, that the link to the petition is in the chat. If you have not signed the petition, you should go to the chat. You should click on that link. That's, I've been saying lately, there aren't a lot of activists in Santa Monica, but we need to get ourselves geared up here and we need to get involved.
What's
Thank
the condition of your heart? What's the condition of your heart? Lauren?
So my question, I just want to say thank you guys all so much for this panel. It's obviously really tragic, but it's also been really enlightening, and like it does give hope to see so many people talking about this and bringing attention to it. I guess this kind of goes more to what April talked about, introducing herself, but everybody is free to answer, of course. But will there be more events that are bringing kids into learning about these kinds of historical events? Because I know, as like growing up as a kid, I would have loved to have learned about the Black histories that were erased, not just on the large scale of American history, but in terms of like the local people, and especially in cases like this, personal histories that even I don't know about. And so are there any plans either that have happened or in the future for you to bring more kids into the discussion?
Okay, I'll take this one, guys.
But
You know-
wait, can I just say something really quick?
yeah, go ahead, go ahead.
Lauren, are you going to say who you are?
I, I'm a
I
lot of
think we know. No, okay, go ahead, go ahead. She don't
I'm a
want to
lovely daughter. I'm currently also on the East Coast, so it's kind of late, but I've it's been amazing staying throughout the panel, so more than happy.
Oh, just quickly, in case everyone saw me smile like, the Cheshire Cat when she, popped on the screen. That is my wonderful baby girl daughter. And she is currently at UPenn. She will be graduating in May. And I'm extremely proud of her. Love her so much.
We love you too, Lauren. You family now. Family, you joined the family.
And it's also wonderful to see all the generations showing up.
Absolutely. So, Lauren, everybody that knows me knows the youth just in here. We do have workshops that we really try to bring in youth. So we want to put you, even though you're on the East Coast, but your mama's here, put you on our email list. And we also want to get that information to you. And then when you come home, there is a tour in Santa Monica that you can take. And I personally will escort you and tell you what I know growing up Santa Monica. How about that?
And then also,
That sounds amazing.
Me too.
Can I add? Can I add? I mean, how about we start to get them started right now? How about we get the youth to come together right now and call and give public comments and write letters to the city council members? How about we do that now?
Well,
Anybody?
we've already contacted the Black Student Union Santa Monica High School.
Good.
They were supposed to be on this call. I don't know. I guess the rain just got some folks twisted. But we will be on them, right, Angela? We got them. So yeah, we will definitely visit them next week.
I think I would like to say something too. There's people on this call, like myself, that have access to other young people, and I just will tell you that there's a lot of churches and I don't know what else kind of religious places that have youth groups, and the people who run youth groups of any race or creed always looking for programs, and they want to do something good, so just I think we should take advantage of that.
I want to also say to people and to say to Lauren, another way to connect. Kavan on Where's My Land has an Instagram. She's better at posting than I am.
Well, my person. I'm with you, Robbie. I don't like posting. I can't post, but
her staff,
really good.
Her staff is keeping up. So look on Where's My Land, and you can get some more information if you feel like it. You can look at Black Santa Monica tours, and then of course CRJ. We have an Instagram, but we're better on Facebook. So if you look at our Facebook page, you can see some of the workshops we do for the Black community. And we plan to do a lot of our whole year, or at least half the year, is hitting those Black apology items that we have, you know, that we've been apologized for, that have been apologized for, but no action on. So we definitely need you to get involved in that. I just want to remind people to check the chat. And if you didn't, y'all can email me or text me. And for the change.org, a lot of people have gotten it by putting change.org, Ebony Beach Club, or even if you put in Silas White, it comes up. Sign that petition, guys. Let that be your first step, the first step. And then tune in, hit Kavan up, where's my land, and let's get this property back for Connie. She's not feeling well today, and that broke my heart. I'm not going to get emotional, but anyway, I'd rather be mad than emotional. Dude, let's get this done, y'all. I love y'all. So glad you came. I think everyone needs to unmute themselves, because those who come to CRJ know that we end this a certain kind of way with the Asada chant. So I'm going to try and do this with my voice all crazy. Anybody else on CRJ Steering Committee have anything else to say? Nope.
Yeah, I do. I just want to say thank you so much. And we won't let this go. We won't let it go.
And the link to the petition has been posted at least 3 times. I just reposted it again, as did another member. So please, please, please sign it. I've been kind of looking at the numbers. It's less than 500 that's needed at this point. So it's over the halfway point. So if everyone could tell a friend and share it on Facebook, that would help Kavan and Milana as they, go forward in this. And we are just humbled that you took time out to be with us and share the story. Thank you, April, for sharing and continue to pour into our community as well.
This is our territory, y'all. This is Santa Monica. And we're a small city. If we can't do it here, where can it be done? Bruce's Beach did it. I know we can do this. We can do this as as liberal as the city says it is. But yeah, let's get at our city council people. I see that Dolly asked that question. Caroline, how many people do you need? Dolly, you gonna talk to them for us?
So we need 4 people to pass anything. Technically, I could put something by myself. Full disclosure, I tried to put, as I said at the top, I tried to put this explicitly in the one we passed 2 weeks ago. And I was told no. So I didn't think it strategically was very smart for me to go by myself without at least like a couple of other folks supporting this. So I think we got to try the groundswell approach before we put it back.
Yeah, good idea.
Well, CRJ knows how to groundswell, so we can definitely boots on the ground with that. Yeah, we got it. Anybody else? CRJ Steering Committee? We love y'all, but this is how this chant goes. Pretend like we're in a circle. If we were at Virginia Avenue Park, we will be holding hands.
Everybody unmute.
And this is a call and response. Okay, Craig. Craig is going to be the loudest. You want to start it off, Craig?
Well, he's on mute though.
Is he on mute?
Yeah, he could be loud as he wants to. We're not going to hear him.
Oh, they're not going to hear him. They don't.
Yeah, because he's on mute. There he goes.
Oh, he's unmuted. He's going to bust his own speakers. Okay.
I won't be loud for the sake of it being.
Oh, thank you. Okay, you want to start us off with the chant?
I'll just do
how about you start us with the chant? You want to do that?
It is our duty to fight for freedom.
It is our duty to fight
for freedom.
It is our duty to win.
It is our duty to
win. We must love and protect one another.
We must
love and protect one another.
Have nothing to lose but our chains.
We have nothing
to lose but our chains.
Okay, now we get a little bit louder when we say, it is our duty to fight for freedom.
It
It is our duty to fight for freedom.
It is our duty to win.
It is our duty to win.
Love and protect one another.
It is our duty
and protect one another.
We have nothing to lose but our chains.
We have nothing
to lose but our chains.
Okay, y'all can wake up now. Y'all can wake up because we want them to hear it at City Hall, even though there's some at City Hall on here. It is our duty to fight for freedom.
It is our duty to fight for freedom.
It is our duty to win.
It is our duty to win.
Love and protect one another.
We must love and
Protect one another.
We have nothing to lose but our chains.
We have nothing
to lose but our
chains.
Ashe.
Ashe.
Love y'all. Good night.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good night.